Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Happy Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. We are here with episode 3 of Value First Revenue with Zach Hussion. How you doing, man?
What's up, buddy? Ready for episode 3? We're not quite at the habit forming level yet, but I haven't missed one yet. So
Yeah,
I was kind of sad to hear that you may not be around in it for a couple weeks. So you got a little time off. What is the HubSpot community
oh,
going to do without
time
all
off.
of this
Let's
content coming from you?
let's just correct the record right there. I don't take time off. Okay, I don't know what that is, how that works.
You
I will
you
be at Gulf Coast Conference
okay?
next Tuesday and Wednesday in Galveston
Cool.
with my friends at ASI Standards. And then going up to Indianapolis the week following to go hang out with the client and Bill Barless and
Yeah, cool.
talk
Tell Bill
about
I said what's
taking over
up.
the world with HubSpot and the data model.
Mm-hmm.
How many different systems can we get rid of?
I'm sad to miss
Uh,
this.
so very excited for that. Yeah, an unusual October though for me, and I'll definitely be back at it after that. But yeah, maybe we can pre-record some stuff. I do want to keep this habit going.
I do want to say though, it's okay to take a break every once in a while. Like I think people would actually celebrate that for you. You know,
Oh, right,
just uh, just take a day and go do something for Chris. Go
right.
get that beard massage that you've been putting off for so long.
That's a good idea. I do have some plans. The wife and I are talking about going to Colombia, where she's
Nice.
from, in
Yeah,
December, January.
gotta make time for
Like
that stuff.
taking it long. Again, it's going to be hard for me to disconnect all the way, but that's what.
Well, you never
Like,
disconnect all the way, right?
right.
I mean, it's like we're
Yeah.
always, and that's one of the things that I know this isn't the topic of our conversation today, but it's like we're always connected. Uh, um, it's like it's easier to just stay on top of it a little bit than to completely unplug. And you have moments like I'll go out into the middle of the wilderness and it's like I can't get a reception if I tried. But yeah, usually whenever I travel, I'm always doing a little bit of something just to keep it more manageable when I get home. Um, but it's nice to have those moments where you can just kind of be creative and spend some time just like thinking about stuff versus just always just when you're so busy doing things all the time. Sometimes you just kind of forget to take a step back and let the creative juices flow.
Yeah. And I'll promise we'll tie this in to what we're talking about today. I don't think it's that far fetched, the bridge I'm about to build here. But when we're thinking about tools and how we go about our day, right? For work, sales, whatever department you're in, whatever
Sure.
job you do, I think now more than ever, we got to make every effort. Like one of the things that you can leverage with AI and with this advanced technology is we got to get to enjoyable work,
Hmm.
enjoyable days. And if we're not presenting these, like if we keep pounding that, oh, you're going to save time, you're going to be able to do more, like, can we maybe can we enjoy what we're doing, a little bit more? And I
Sure.
bring up that up because a lot of the time I spend each day is creating content, and it's very hard to see that as work. And
Yeah. I mean,
right,
we're doing what we like doing, and that's like we hacked it. Not that there aren't bad days and moments where you're like, oh God, what did I do this for? But in general, you and I have both gone off on our own to go pursue the things that we really like doing, and it doesn't feel like work half of the time. You know,
right,
it's taken me a long time, most of my career, I guess, to get to this point where it doesn't feel like work anymore. But the tools that I have at my disposal now, make it so much easier for me to go on that vacation or go travel or go do whatever because I can grab my laptop. Everything's in the cloud. I've got all my tools. I got everything I need in my CRM. I have everything is just easily accessible. On my mobile device, and I can move freely, and kind of have that work life balance without feeling like I have to be tethered to, my home office all the time. Just like, any sales reps who are out in the field or traveling for a conference or something. We all know how hard it is to try to get stuff done when you're traveling for work. It's super unproductive, but it's like, well, now you can actually do a lot more while you're traveling than you ever could before.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. We can not be required to have the late nights or early mornings just because we're on the road and the job is still going. Like the emails are still coming, and
but just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it every time. Like
right.
you still need to take those moments and just shut it down.
Well, it takes away from the presence of being wherever you might be. Like if you're always thinking about this task load or just watching your inbox fill up. And that's a part of what we're talking about today, because usually teams get to this point where it's like, okay, I've got too many spreadsheets. I've got too many emails coming in. I'm starting to miss emails that are like asking for order. They're trying to give us money and we're dropping the ball. It's just impossible to keep up with. I got to be at this event because I know how valuable it is. There's no way I can be at the event and managing my inbox at the same time. Let's get serious about CRM. And this actually came up today because there was an update that I'm going to share my screen for. Some important phrases, or at least one to highlight, right? So sales workspace updates. Focus on high impact activities. And this is where it's like, those could be, I mean, honestly, most of the time for me, these are like either strategic thinking exercises. Like, let's dig into this last 10 deals we won and like get together, figure it out, or have some kind of new conversation, like focus on some high value relationship activities that are not, they're so far from the CRM itself, right? Which is a lot of times we've talked about, I think in the last couple of weeks, like we know like people don't adopt these systems because they don't see getting help in that department. And if they have to choose between a high value conversation and updating some data in the CRM,
right,
they're going to choose the high value conversation every single time.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So when you have a team, we've got this plethora of tools that are between the sales workspace, and this one's actually talking about like the CRM index view, which we were just talking about the last show. Like, it's like, oh, let's get in here. And it's just HubSpot is just going to solve these issues where I won't have to worry about the inbox. I can be at the show. All of a sudden leads will get follow up. And it's like, well, maybe we take a step back and don't just like, it's not plug and play as much as they want you to think it is. Right? Where do you take teams in terms of getting started the right way when it's like, okay, we're ready to start doing stuff better, Zach?
I think, you have to start with the process, not the tools.
Yes.
So cool that there was a sales workspace, workplace update. But that's probably not the answer right now. So it's like HubSpot accelerates the process that you have. It's not the process. Right? It's just like HubSpot helps you win more deals. It doesn't win the deals for you. Maybe it will one day. I don't know. We'll see. So it's like you really have to like focus on that process, like and like aligning the teams on the process and aligning the process to the buyer's journey, like having those kind of SLAs in place. So you have to really kind of get back to the foundational stuff and say, like, have we checked all these boxes? Like, have we done our homework here and actually created a well thought out process before we start going and trying to, add the final coat of paint to the wall there. It's a timely reference just because I keep on looking at the camera and I miss having my logo on the wall
back there.
Yeah, it's really naked back
logo.
There. Yeah, we're in the middle of a branding identity crisis here, folks. Okay, so like, don't be alarmed. Hush is here to stay.
Everything's fine.
I should have listened to my wife when I put the vinyl decals on the wall. Okay, there, I've said it forever.
Yeah,
everyone will know it.
You don't put the permanent fixture on the wall, honey.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It'll be
It's
fine. I'm
fine.
never gonna change it. It'll be,
Committed.
yeah. Anyways, yeah. So focus on, do the plan. I guess there you go. Do some planning in advance. And I think you have to really kind of start with those, some of those practices first. So it's like, um,
Yeah. And I think
do you,
alongside this, like why this is top of mind is we just got another project today on the marketplace,
yep.
right?
Hmm.
Where it's like we need like streamline our CRM
Hmm.
and we're focusing on deals and forecasting
Hmm.
initially, right? The part that almost every team like wants to start there. Uh what happens when we start there like with the tool first?
So like you're saying, like if you could just jump right into HubSpot and say, we're going to go right into, into our deal setting, pipeline settings, and we're going to start, coming up with deal stages and probabilities and required fields and, properties. And, we have some pipeline rules and automation. We're just going to start building. Um,
Or sometimes like we believe that works out of the box and we just go, especially when there has been no documented process,
yeah.
right? You're like, oh, these stages make sense, I guess. We'll just use those.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, don't ever take anything out of the box and use it, like, you know, ever. Um, I think that's the first thing. And then, you're going to end up, I think it's going to take you longer. It's going to cost you more money. You're going to add a whole bunch of friction to the process when you think that you're adding force, but you're really, what was it? Failing the plan is planning the fail kind of a
Mm-hmm.
saying. So you have to, like, anything quality that you've ever put together is always, I think, started out on paper first, and if you want to get good results. So you really have to kind of have those brainstorming sessions about, let's forget about all the technology today. Like, in a perfect world, how should things work? And not just how do we think that they should work through our lens, but like, how do our buyers want them to work? Just because, we're saying, hey, we have to have a discovery call meeting, and then from there we have to, the client has to agree to doing XYZ, and then you add all these gates in place, and the client's just kind of like, well, I don't want to do all that stuff. So there's this disconnect between like what you're forcing your reps, to take your prospects and customers through, and what the prospects and customers, like, how they want to go through that process. So you have to, you should come up with your ideal scenario, but then don't forget about talking to your clients. I mean, I know a lot of really great sales leaders and marketing leaders who have spent a ton of time going out into the field and interviewing customers about their, how they buy. And then they combine that with some of the things that they can't compromise on their end. And then here comes your process starts coming together. I mean, there's this guy, Tony, he was a marketing VP I worked with years ago. Awesome dude. We still keep in touch. He's an adjunct professor now, I think at Geneseo, maybe, teaching marketing stuff. And I remember how much time he told me he spent when he first joined the company that we were at together, visiting customers. And one of those trips he took with me. And I said, "Let's go, Tony. We're gonna." And he talks about it sometimes. We went up into Canada and around the Northeast, and I took him to a bunch of big automotive manufacturing, like tier one suppliers, because that's kind of what I was focused on the time. And he really took a lot of time to ask, deep questions about the company, about like what motivates them, why, and why do they enjoy working with us, and also what don't they like. So he really just took a lot of time to get a lot of feedback. And that's just, it's not, these are not expensive things to do. I mean, you're flying people around, they're driving around, you're in hotels and meal. I mean, these are sometimes, multi-week trips to go hit up a bunch of customers as you're going. But I think it makes a huge difference in the end result.
Yeah. Like, and don't be surprised if we say this every week because not nearly enough people do it. Like, like, talk through what actually has happened. Like the data that you already have,
Sure.
closed won deals.
Assuming
Like,
you have good data.
no, that's the thing you do because there were people involved, right?
Yeah.
It
Okay.
might
Fine.
be in
We
the
gotta have
heads,
some conversations then.
right?
Maybe. Yeah. Not
Right.
just
Talk
just
to the
yeah.
salesperson who
Yes.
thinks they're, hot shit because they win all these deals,
Hey.
right? And again, this comes with it doesn't mean they're just gonna like spill. Not just be like the marketing person or the HubSpot. Hey, I'm the new HubSpot admin. Tell me how you win deals, buddy. They're gonna be. They might just
Yeah.
like, okay, who's this
Yeah. Who?
person?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm just awesome. Okay, that's how I win deals, right?
You have to find the right salesperson too. Some of them are very
Yeah,
open and willing to share, and they're big time team players, and they understand that, hey, if I can share with the team what makes me successful, then that makes other reps more successful. We all end up doing better, and right, our ultimate goal here is revenue. So, like, why
yeah,
wouldn't I share that? And then you have other sales reps who I think are more um, selfish, I guess I'll just say it that way. And it's like, I don't really care about anybody else's numbers. I don't really, quite frankly, I don't care about the company's numbers. I care about my commission only. And the more I tell people about how I'm successful, like the less valuable that I might be. And I'm
right.
just,
Yeah, and I'll say definitely self-preservationist a lot of the times,
totally.
and that's
Yeah.
like culture. The
Yeah.
culture
It's a
drives
cultural
that,
thing.
right? Like,
Yep. Yep.
if you see that all anybody cares about is how much money you bring into the organization, then that's what you focus on.
Yep.
Uh, but either way, it's talking to the people involved in the process. You mentioned
Hmm.
clients, like getting both sides of the story, and then talking through like, and this is where I do like to use, especially when people are excited about the tools. Like it's very hard. Like people get antsy. Like when are we going to get into HubSpot? Like why
Mm.
aren't we? Like, why are we
Hmm.
having all these whiteboard conversations? Like, it
Yeah.
starts to detach from like how we think about things. So I'll come in and we'll go into like, the deal pipeline, right? That comes out of the box.
Yep.
And you just start assigning like, okay, what you just told me sounds like this or it doesn't sound like this. Like contract sent, does that make sense? Does 90% make sense? uh these names of things, it's so much will get caught up in like the words that we're using,
Hmm.
right? And sometimes you'll run into this, and a lot of this is like giving voices to everybody involved in the process, but you'll
Yep.
also run into some of these where it's like, all right, twice as many stages.
Hmm.
um and just talking through this stuff out loud, and then going like making sure you have this context, whether you're talking to the client or the marketer or the salesperson or the business leader. Because a lot of times, what you'll find, the business leader, the person who's been there forever, they were the first salesperson,
Hmm.
right? And they get surprised at what the process has become. And even they can, like, facilitate a little bit of a strategic approach.
Sure.
Because what you don't want to do is like, all right, guys, it's going to be this way because this person said it worked. Now this is what we built. Which if you do find the champion and then you build out the CRM based on how that one person does it, right? You might struggle to get some adoption.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of getting to this place where what we want to get to is that common language of how we do things, like
Hmm.
right now. Like if you went to the show and that's what started the opportunity, like how many times do you jump past like the demo or the appointment schedule or the discovery? You know who hates this word? Like prospects and
Hmm.
clients. So much of this is internally focused. How do we make it so the team understands what's going on, but there's no chance of the client feeling our internal process, right? I think that Dharmesh is one of the things he likes to say. It's like your org chart is showing, right? When we're clients and you're starting to refer to us as leads or opportunities, or oh, we've got to go through Bant. Like, so I'm going to ask you
Yeah,
to
but like I
go
would never,
predictable.
yeah. But I think that's all about how you position it to that person on the other side. It's like, yes, you should be going through a discovery call. You should be going through, your Bant or whatever, Medic or, pick a methodology. And yeah, yes, like the client should not feel like you're going through a checklist. So that's just more to me, that those are some of the basics. That's like it has to feel natural. It can't feel scripted. People pick up on that stuff so quickly, but it is a discovery call and it's there for good reason. um it's to make sure that there is, we got to make sure that there's alignment here. And like I really have a lot of questions for you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer or prospect, before I can give you an idea of how long this is going to take, how,
Are
how
we a
many
fit?
hours, yeah, are we even a fit?
Yeah.
And half the time it's how, we have this project and, we want it done, in 2 months. Oh, it's like, well, and then you say, okay, great. Maybe we can do that. I really, I couldn't tell you. So, let's do like a deeper dive on this. And then let's say that you get past that discovery call and then you're kind of through the kickoff and that first couple weeks, or maybe the first month, the client, like you said, they're like, well, why aren't we just in here doing stuff yet? Why, I've been paying for HubSpot for a month, but we're not, we're really, we're not doing a ton in the system yet. And, I think you just have to kind of keep reminding people that, we have to plan these things just like it's like prompting. If you put it together a thoughtful prompt, you're gonna, and you've fed it the right data, you're gonna get something really valuable out the other end. If a CRM is not well thought out, then you're just going to add a ton of friction. Your adoption is going to be low. Your customers are going to get frustrated. You just spent a lot of time and money on something that totally, bombed, versus maybe just spend a little extra time up front here to make sure that we're ensuring that you're going to get the best return from this investment.
Yeah. And that's like that extra time that you put into
Yeah.
the buyer focused process. Basically, like, can we answer like the questions easily of what data do we actually need to
Mm-hmm.
support this buyer journey, right? Do we have a place for that? Do these and not to get too technical, but you find ways to tie it into like, okay, what you're saying right now, that's the thing that we would put in a deal. That kind of thing we would put in a contact record. You start setting that foundation early because remember, oftentimes they've been in like the Outlook inbox and the spreadsheets where you can just call everything whatever you want, right? That's been the CRM.
Mm-hmm.
Or they have HubSpot and somebody else set it up and they use their own terminology and we have no idea what that stuff means. So we're
Yep.
starting from scratch,
I had a lot of those conversations lately.
right? And trying to like not disparage HubSpot, like while you're saying like, okay, we're starting from scratch. HubSpot works, but it was implemented in a certain way. Like it can help when you approach it the right way
Yeah.
of, hey, like this is why it's important, like to have these conversations. And if we do this part right, folks, like everything else gets easier. Like all the goals that you say that you have, like unified customer view, growth, like more time spent talking to customers instead of managing the CRM. Like this is how we get there,
That's what
right?
consultants do, right? That's the difference. I think a big difference between like a consultant and like just a freelancer, let's say. Not a knock to either, but it's just um, consultants are going to guide you a lot more and say like this, this is the way. Let me show you and take you through this process, because I know that if we follow this along, that the results are going to follow. Because I also know that when we don't do this stuff, I've been there as well when the results don't follow. And so I think that you really have to, You really have to drive that home, that we need this time to do this because that's what you're paying for. You've come to me with a challenge that has really, serious business implications. Like if you do this the right way, you guys can really go kick ass and do some awesome things and grow your company and your customer base, and also keep your employees happier with the tools that they're using internally, right? Which is a big thing that we discount. Or you could just hire somebody and tell them what they should be doing, and then just have them go do it because they're not that you didn't hire them to push back or to ask questions. So, you have to understand too, like, who are you hiring to do this? Who are you bringing on to the team? What are you ready for them to say? We gotta really break things down here and rip some things apart. You have to be prepared for that change and to be told some hard truths that you probably aren't going to be real happy about. you know, like, sorry to be the bearer of bad news on this one, guys, but yeah,
Somebody had to tell you.
yeah, someone had to tell you.
So what are your favorite questions to ask to get to this? It sounds like we're in alignment where like this buyer journey, this buyer
Hmm.
centric journey, like we've got to find a way to match our internal process like to that. That is how CRMs work, like
Hmm.
at the basic level. What kind of questions do you like to ask to start to define that?
Well, it's helpful to understand like how far along they are in developing anything like ICP. I always go back, do you have ICPs? Have you developed personas? Do you understand the customer journey? Like have you kind of understand how your business process, like your sales process maps up to like awareness, consideration, and decision level stuff? Um, do you have life cycle stages? What do those look like? So like a lot of these I'm really trying to get at like the foundational things that are set up on the platform to get an idea of like, well, how much work do we have to do here? Because if you're like, oh no, we don't, what's a buyer's journey, right? Or life cycle stages. Yeah, no, I don't know. Just whatever came out of the box is just kind of exactly what we use. And every time a new contact comes into the system, it's a lead. um, so I think you have to understand kind of how some of those foundational things are set up. Asking them if they have any SLAs between teams, if they've asking them about the how confident they feel in their data. Like how well can you trust the data if you're like, oh, this is bad. I don't even look at it, right? Because then maybe you're talking about like a whole data cleanup before you can kind of make sense of things. Um, but a lot of it's just kind of like where are the biggest pains, and like what are the goals you're trying to accomplish, or that's really at the heart of it. So it's if we're trying to grow revenue and we don't have enough leads, and our team needs to be enabled more to automate versus the company's doing great, like revenue is kicking butt. We actually kind of have the opposite problem. Like things aren't moving through the funnel fast enough. Things aren't moving through the pipeline, I mean, fast enough. We're dropping the ball on things. It's kind of like people are running around like chickens with their heads cut off versus sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for the phone to ring. Like those are two totally different types of challenges, right? So I think you just like those are some of the questions I'm going to ask, like really like what's motivating you to do this, and also trying to understand like, well, how serious are you about this? Because a lot of times people will say that they want to do things, and then when it comes down to it, it's like, okay, I'm not really sure how ready you were for this change because you keep on showing up to the weekly call and you haven't done your homework. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's say
under,
they do like it's like one of those use cases uh of like we need some help with growing. Just like so it's very chaotic. Like we're
mm,
having to log it. We're not sure what's working and what's not, but the growth is stalled. That's why we've heard it's a good idea to invest in HubSpot. Let's take that use case.
I would say, why do you think it stalled? first. What do you think has led to this? What happens if you don't fix it? Like, what are the implications if you don't fix it? How serious of a problem is it? Um, and then I think a lot of it is going to be digging into that data to say, well, it looks like your average deal size over time has been shrinking, or your sales velocity is slowed down, or like, so some of the data I think can kind of point to that. But like you said before, don't discount that. People have these experiences and they have gut feels and they have knowledge, like they've sat in the seat. So you could just ask them, like, why do you think this is going this way? I think, um, and then where do you want it to be is a question you need to ask. So if you're saying, well, sales aren't where they want it to be, well, where should they be? How far off are you? And what's that pipeline gap look like? I do a pipeline gap analysis with most folks at some point, you know. Does that kind of answer some of the questions you're looking at?
I think so. And I think what's coming to mind is super interesting. Like, this is why the balance of like tool versus strategy is can be hard to peg. Like, all we know is that it's not like should not be 100% in one way or the other. Like, you've got to kind of suss this out, because what HubSpot can do is help you discover those reasons. Like, that growth is stalled,
Right. But
but
why?
since you don't have systems in place, you look at spreadsheet after spreadsheet trying to figure it out, and there's just no way in hell that
Mhm.
you can put all the pieces together, right? You start to bring that stuff in HubSpot
Yeah.
into HubSpot, put some views together, and all of a sudden, especially with AI now,
You can
right,
get
you
those
can get
answers
to the
quick.
bottom of that
Yeah.
like real quickly. That's where I'm sure you get to the gap analysis pretty quickly after that. Um, but on the other side, it's like if things are going good, you can very quickly get to the what is making them go good.
Mhm.
Like, how do we do more of that? What's holding us back? Like, things like that.
What's
So
great
it's
about
getting
HubSpot
harder and
is
harder.
it's all like near real time, or it's like it's when you set it up the right way, you can answer those questions in seconds, minutes. What would take you hours of hacking, spreadsheets and reports together. Um, I just uh, I just had this call yesterday with a client who's looking to kind of get into, this is more like on the marketing hub side of things, but I'd asked more like, well, what's your website conversion rate to leads, and leads to MQLs, MQLs to SQLs, SQLs to deals, and then your win rate. And as expected, most of the time when I ask people these questions, they're like, I think they're this. I've been told they're that. Or I ran this report like a couple months ago, and this is what they were then. But they change all the time. And so I think there's, when you can show somebody that it's like, you don't have to do any work after you set this up, really. It's just, you can just go to your dashboard and you can answer this question very easily.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that's an important key. Like, which questions are you trying to answer, like
Yeah.
with the CRM? Like, it's that, like, plus the goals, because that should relate to the goals. Like, should be a direct like
Yeah.
correlation, right?
Yeah, like your company should have like, like 3 or 5 like kind of like main goals, and then those, are set by the CEO and leadership, and they trickle down to middle management and then everyone else, and everyone's goals lead up to hitting that, those top 3 goals or whatever. So every question you should be asking should be tied back to those goals, which are all typically somehow related to revenue,
Yeah.
right?
And
Um
if you can get clarity on that, like, there's a simple approach and there's a complicated approach to
Yeah.
this.
You can do a
And
lot of stuff in HubSpot. It's
right.
like, we could talk all about, sequences and the prospecting agent, and how you would use them and implement them, and why one's better than the other, maybe for certain things. And let's go. But if prospecting isn't the problem, Who cares? I mean, it will be a problem at some point. It's just not the problem right now. So you got to figure out like what to prioritize. So that's where all the questions are really getting at to, what are the top, goals, and what are the KPIs that we have to measure to kind of show that we're progressing towards those. And then what are the couple things that we're going to do to, to fix the friction that's getting in the way of getting there.
Yeah. Some experiments. So it's getting into a place where you can actually experiment like effectively. And it's not just somebody's idea. Right?
Like sequences or like email, like A/B testing. That's a great example of like, wouldn't it be great to be able to actually do that stuff? Most teams are kind of still just trying to figure out how to, automate some of their sales outreach versus, let alone trying to A/B test subject lines and call to actions and, trying to get your open rates and click rates and reply rates up.
Yep.
So if you focus on all those analytics before you even focus on like the basics of just doing some sales enablement there, then you kind of missed it.
Yeah, because you can waste a ton of time in these tools. And if you're not even sending out emails consistently, like none of those numbers are gonna matter, right? They're gonna show you some numbers, and you can make them look exactly how you want them to look almost every time. But that's why we start with, like, we gotta understand what the goal is with HubSpot. It's not an end all be all to fixing the chaos, or all of a sudden leads are going to pour in. All of a sudden our deal rates are going to get better just because we're using a system, right? Got to get clarity on the why, because it does represent a lot of change to whoever's in the room, even if they asked for it. It's change, and if you're not clear on what is happening and when and why, like, you just fall right back into the I'm comfortable in the inbox, just let me keep, that's how I manage my relationships, just let me keep doing that. Right. So some tough conversations sometimes in the beginning.
Yeah, a lot of education. I mean, you have to educate people about why doing everything in your Outlook or Gmail inbox is, how or why that has challenges, and then showing them that if you were to do it this other way, the impact is X. And for sales teams, it's usually, what is the number one thing that they care about or what motivates them? Typically, it's commissions. It's money, right? I know that it's the one position where I can work harder and get paid more. Typically, so if you can show them how by doing these things you can win more deals, win bigger deals, win deals faster, win deals easier, like not have to take so many steps to do all these things, and just kind of like focus on the conversations and focus on the relationships and focus on, being helpful and solving problems. Because if you just tell them that, hey, do this thing, it'll make you better. Like, just trust me. It's like most people just say, go,
trust goes down immediately.
Shit in your hat and wear it. Yeah.
Right.
It's like it's the show don't tell thing, right? So
all right, we got another tech guy trying to sell us SaaS software. That's what's happening here. I'll show him, and I'm gonna go sell a bunch. Like, I know how. I'm gonna make a bunch of money without ever touching the tool.
Yep. I mean, I was talking to these two women last night at the after the panel, and they're two sales reps. They work for like an agency. I think they do more like media buys and marketing campaigns and things like that. And well, what CRM do you guys use? We don't have a CRM. I said, okay. Why not? Oh, well, we just do everything. And I forget what project management tool that they were talking about. And I said, oh, well, how's that working out? Well, it's fine. We don't need anything really fancy, because, we just like, we're the ones who, like, people buy because they want to work with us. And I said, okay, I get it. People buy from people still. That's, sure. But you're doing all the prospecting, and you're doing all of the outreach, and you're doing all the account management, and you're doing, so it's like you're wearing all the hats of multiple sales reps, different sales roles. And like what do you wish was different? And they're like, oh, I hate prospecting. And I said, okay, well, it sounds like you need a marketing engine to help tee some leads up for you. Oh, that'd be great. Okay. Um, when you're prospecting, like, how are you doing it? And they were just describing kind of like an old school, like very manual sales process, right? It was just very labor intensive, and you could tell that they just felt like super overwhelmed with how much they had to try to do, wearing all these hats, all these different sales hats. And it was still kind of hard to, I think, and we had a short amount of time. It was, it was kind of, there was a lot going on, but I think they kind of saw like this glimmer of hope that they're like, oh, like there is a solution out there that can help. Um, but then it's like, I'm not quite sure that the decision maker over there, buys into this kind of stuff. So it's like they're like, well, what, how can you help? Like, what can you do? And I'm like, I'm not really sure what I can do to help you if leadership doesn't buy into the fact that you need to have like tools to get your job done and to be competitive in today's marketplace. Because all your competitors, or most of them, have them already. If not, and you don't, so you're already now behind the eight ball there. And you need to invest in marketing so you can increase your awareness and start helping to tee the sales team up for more success, because you can't expect that you're going to just cold call or warm call their way to their quota every year. It may work for a little while, and even they said, right, our professional network only gets us so far, and then what? Right, our existing relationships only get us so far, and then what? The company that we just acquired and all their customers, that gave us a bump and it only got us so far, cross-pollinating services, but then what? And it's like, there is going to be that, the nothing if you don't think about the end what now, because and I feel it personally here at Hush, and my professional network, got me to a certain point, and then it's like, okay, we need to figure out other ways to raise awareness, and then map that to a process that we can all follow and have the right tools to do it. I just don't understand how people think that like you're gonna be successful today without doing these types of things.
Well, it definitely stems from a place of they have had some success without it. And that's where I think, like we've said a few times, like they say goals out loud, and it's about connecting the tools that they're asking for to the goals that they're asking for. And I think that's mission one. And it's not just saying, oh, the tools will do that. It'll be fine. Right. It's much more than that. And hopefully we helped a little bit today. Asking questions. What's the goal? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, we got to be able to answer that question for everybody in the room. And we're going to keep, I think that's going to be a theme, for the next few episodes at least. And yeah, we're at time.
I want to add one last thing though, too. It's like when you're building these processes, and you're building this stuff out in HubSpot, like, don't build for perfection. Build for iteration.
Yes.
Like, your process is going to change. Your business is going to change. Like, things are going to change. And if you go and build some really rigid thing today, you're going to be having this conversation again. And, probably not a very long time. It never ceases to amaze me how quickly things will change. And that's the one constant, right? So
yes,
don't try to be perfect on the first
and
round.
that's why we'll be here every week to help you with that change and the speed of the market and all that good stuff. Because we got the tools to do it. That's what the one thing we love about HubSpot is they move fast, and we're here to help you move fast as well. So thanks so much. It's good episode 3, Zach.
Yeah, man.
We'll figure out a way next week to to get in front of our audience and keep sharing knowledge. But until next time, have a great week, everybody. Thanks,
You
Zach.
too. See you, man. Thanks.